KMCers wherever. I'm Kiersten and welcome back to another true crime case. So today's case we are going to be talking about Hailey Burns. So let's just get right into this. So Hailey Burns was 16 years old. She was from Charlotte, North Carolina. Her parents are Shauna and Anthony Burns, and she does have a younger twin sister. Let's just talk about what happened to her. In May of 2016, Hailey, who is autistic and had anorexia, left her home to meet with Michael Wysoloboski, I think is how you pronounce it. He was 31 years old, and she had met him online. He ended up kidnapping her and locking her in an upstairs bedroom. He controlled every aspect of her life. And Michael found Hailey through an eating disorder website. It was like a chat room for people that were suffering any kind of eating disorders. And they began talking when she was about 15 years old. And she talked about how unhappy she was and how she wanted to run away. And 3 weeks later, when she turned 16 years old, she left her house and hiked 3 miles to the nearest interstate with no phone, no wallet, no medication to meet with Michael. When she got to his car, he gave her a fake ID and told her to not tell anybody who she was, to basically lie about who she was. He drove her to Georgia, where he lived in a house with some housemates or roommates. He ended up telling his housemates or roommates, whatever, that Hailey was a girl named Alaska, who was his girlfriend at the time. And shortly after this, months go by, and they move to a house on their own in Duluth, Georgia, where she was abused and starved every single day, all for his sexual fantasies. She was raped and tortured. She was even locked in a dog kennel. He would make her count calories and tell her that she'd have to perform oral sex on him to get food. Her disappearing kind of triggered a missing persons hunt for her. And on June 23rd of 2017, she got access to the internet behind Michael's back. She was in a chat room on the eating disorder website when she got in contact with a woman in Romania named Kate. She told Kate that she was being held captive, and Kate ended up looking and doing some research and found her mom, Hailey's mom, Shauna, on Facebook, and messaged her and told her about having contact with Hailey and that they needed to help her or whatever. And Shauna ended up messaging Kate back, and like they were having a conversation with Hailey through Kate, so it would never look like she was talking to her family. She was talking to a girl named Kate. And Hailey's parents ended up contacting FBI for them to like go find her or whatever, but they needed more information from Hailey. So Hailey ended up sending them a photo of the front street of the house. So Shauna ended up seeing a for sale sign in front of the house that was in front of the house or whatever, and she did some research and ended up seeing that there was a street sign in the photo as well that started with the letter sin. It was like sin is all she could make out with it. And she ended up discovering that there was a house for sale in Duluth, Georgia, around that same street with this for sale sign, kind of the same neighborhood looking. And she ended up contacting the FBI, and FBI was on their way to go get Hailey. So all Hailey had to do was sit there and wait, and while Michael was just playing video games. And when the FBI actually arrived, they ended up knocking on the door, and she ended up showing them a fake ID and saying that she was his ex-wife. And they just kind of urged her to be truthful, you know, we know you're Hailey, kind of thing. And she ended up breaking down and saying that he made her lie and believe that running away was a crime, and that, you know, if she got caught, she'd be in so much trouble. And they ended up arresting Michael for imprisoning Hailey for, at this point, 13 months. Now let's just jump into the trial. He was charged with rape, aggravated sodomy, and false imprisonment, first-degree cruelty to children, and interstate interference. So in April of 2019, he pled guilty to the first-degree cruelty to children and interstate interference. That could send him to 25 years in prison if he was. They ended up dropping the charges of rape and imprisonment and aggravated sodomy, which is crazy to me. But that's because prosecutors gave him a deal, and due to the fact that they didn't know how much they could really rely on a 16-year-old autistic girl to be their eyewitness in the courtroom, they ended up offering him a plea deal. And he was sentenced to 10 years, but 8 of those years had to be in prison, and then the remaining part of it would be on probation, and he would also have to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. So Hailey's mom was actually shocked that he got a deal, and she said that the most important part of that whole sentencing was that he was registered as a sex offender for the rest of his life. So these are kind of the limitations within his sentencing. So Michael now lives with his mom, just yards away from a high school, which is crazy to me because if you're a sex offender, you can't be within so many feet of children or minors. So the fact that he's living right next to a high school is crazy to me. But the court also believes that he will not reoffend if he's living with family. So if he breaks this plea deal that he had made, if he breaks probation, if he reoffends, he could be facing 30 years in prison. So he also gets unannounced searches and drug tests and even polygraphs. He also cannot date anybody, marry anybody, or fraternize with anybody under the age of 18 or have children that are under 18. So he has to get permission to move out of state. And later on, it was said by an ex-girlfriend of his that during their whole relationship, he was very abusive and also raped her all the time on a daily basis. So his behavior for this was not sane, if that makes sense. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of what Hailey is dealing with now that she is home. So after she returned home, she ended up going into a facility for 5 weeks and still had another month of this facility because she attempted suicide 3 times since she escaped. She is still working through her trauma through therapy. She did appear on Dr. Phil in 2020 to kind of share her story, taking it one day at a time. So now I'm just going to leave you guys with a little bit of photos of Hailey, and I will see you, I guess, in the outro. If you like this kind of video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below what case you think I should do next, and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notifications so you're notified when we post every Tuesday and Friday. So this is KMCers, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!